I'm in a good mood, YouTube, because I'm excited to make this video, man. A couple of weeks ago, somebody I know, he said something that is 100% accurate, man, and that women are the gatekeepers. And because I got a lot of downtime at work in between rides, man. I got a lot of time to think. And I just realized something, man. Rather it's from mothers, rather it's from sisters, rather it's from girlfriends and daughters, women are the gatekeepers. And that's why I love them so much, man. Because if you ever want to test how much a man knows about how the universe operates, you ever want to test a man's knowledge on natural law and universal law? You ever want to test a man's knowledge on the game? Put him in front of a woman. Because woman will reveal either immediately or over time just how informed a man is. See, it starts when you're a little kid, okay? Most men at some point in their life have some interaction with their mothers. Now, after I'm done writing my book, Cattle Farm, I'm considering writing another book called Stranger, because my story is a little bit different, right? See, I'm not a black guy that was raised by a single mother. I'm a black guy who was raised by his white father and his mom and my brother. So for 15 years, I lived with my dad, my brother, and my mom. My dad, my brother, and my grandmother. And I didn't really ever get to know my mom until I was 15 years old, because that's when my dad had strokes and he couldn't have custody of me anymore. Although now that I think about it, in Maryland, you can legally run away from home at 16. So, I mean, really, I didn't even have to live with her, after I was 16, but whatever. The main reason I want to mention that is this doesn't apply to me because I was not around my mom, but I was around my grandmother, so never mind, right? I was still around a female. But for most people, it starts when they're a child and they're around their mothers, right? Their mothers are like the first gatekeepers. They're like the first gatekeeper in their lives. And for most men, unfortunately, it's the only gatekeeper that they ever come across, because they never even conquer their mothers. So they can't conquer any other woman. So for most men, the mother is the first gatekeeper and the only gatekeeper they encounter, because they never get past the first one. Like, they encounter other gatekeepers, but they never get past the first one in order to conquer the other ones. Now, what do I mean by that, right? Women, since the beginning of recorded history, have been very useful, and I may or may not cover this in detail in Cattle Farm. Not that it matters for you guys, because most of you guys are never going to see a copy of that book, but I may dedicate a chapter to this in Cattle Farm when I finish writing the book. But women, since the beginning of recorded history, since time immemorial, they serve the function as the overseers of the cattle farm. Now, what do I mean by that? Whatever you want to get men to believe, you first teach it to women. Because women, for the most part, they're going to blindly follow whatever society is doing. So whatever everybody else is doing, women are going to naturally follow that. Because women, for the most part, they don't really have individual thought. They don't really think on the individual level. Women think on the collective level. That's why don't argue with women, first of all. This is why you don't argue with women. Because you're never going to hear what they really think. You're instead going to hear what they think they should think. They're going to argue for the collective. They're going to argue for women as a whole. They're not going to argue for themselves as an individual. This is what makes them very useful for teaching men how to act and how to operate in society. So let me give you an example, right? Who brought religion to men? Woman, right? In modern religions, you're taught that some type of female ate from a forbidden fruit and then spread the blah, blah, blah to the men. But if you notice, it's the mothers that make their sons go to church. It's the mothers that teach their sons religion. It's the mothers that teach their sons God. And it's also the mothers that get their fathers to believe all this shit as well. See, you'll hear many fucking stories about how when a man met your mother, you know, he was doing whatever the fuck he wanted. He was living life naturally. And then the woman came along and tamed the man. Turned the male into something unnatural, a husband. Husband in both English and Japanese means tiller of the ground. What is a tiller? A slave. And that's essentially the purpose of the woman in the cattle farm. Women come along and they train their sons and they train their husbands how to be husbands and how to be gentlemen for society. So the first gatekeeper that you have to conquer when you're born into this world as a man is you have to conquer either your mother or any type of female authority figure in your household. From a young age, you have to see that what they're teaching you is bullshit. And yeah, I know. Oh my God, Chris, that's fucked up. So you're basically saying that kids are born into this world alone? Yeah. And this is why I tell you guys, and people be thinking I'm exaggerating, man. This is a very difficult path. You're going to be born into this world. Unless you were lucky and you were born into one of the ruling families, you essentially are born alone, and you have to see through your own eyes, through anecdotal evidence, that everything around you is a lie. And the first lies taught to you when you exit your mother's womb, ironically, you're taught by your fucking mother. Your mom's going to be the one that teaches you religion. Your mom's going to be the one that teaches you God. And if you do not conquer your mother, you're going to share the same fate as your mother. Now, it doesn't end there, though. See, Generation Z is different than my generation. And my generation is different from the boomers. See, my generation, we would argue with our parents, but it was still abnormal for somebody, especially a male, to just flat out despise their family, as I do, right? I mean, most millennials, for the most part, even if there's drama, they at least tolerate their family. They at least still hold the shackles of family unity, at least the illusions of it, core to their hearts. So even if they dislike their family, they'll still show up to Thanksgiving, they'll still show up to Christmas dinner, they'll still try to have some illusion of unity. You know, most millennials are not like me and just say, fuck my whole family and just, YOLO up to Towson and start living alone. So I at least get along with my brother now that, shout out to him. But I mean, I hope my brother sees this video because he still has to conquer the first gatekeeper. It doesn't end there though. Now, if you're a genius child, if you're lucky enough to conquer your mother when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, congratulations, you've already gotten a head start in life. But understand, this is not most people. Most people never even get past the first guardian. So boom, now I was lucky because I didn't live with my mom in the first place. By the time I started living with my mom, I already knew that everything she's ever tried I already knew that everything she believed was bullshit. And for the most part, we didn't speak even when I started living with my mom. I kind of just went up to my room, you know what I'm saying, and I just did whatever the fuck I wanted, and she left me alone for the most part. Ironically, it was when she started trying to try to kind of tell me what to do, and she realized I wasn't going for that. That's when we started having problems. It's like, I know, I'm a third of your age, and I know more at my age than you could ever learn in 100 lifetimes. Why the fuck would I ever listen to you? And this is how you have to be, man. You have to learn the truth at a young age. You have to conquer your parents at a young age, because unless you were born to parents that know what the fuck is going on, you're pretty much born in this world alone. And you got to conquer these fuckers alone. But understand, your mother and your parents, they're only the first guardians. So boom, you conquer your mother. Now you go out into the real world and you have moon eyes. You're like, yeah, man, I just conquered the beast. I just conquered the bitch who tried to teach me death and religion and God at a young age. I'm invincible, right? You conquer that. Who's going to be your second gatekeeper that you have to conquer? The second gatekeeper that you have to conquer is going to be your first love. Your first and second loves, I would argue. See, if you understand that what your mother is telling you is bullshit, you then have to conquer what the next female in line, the next female that you love the most in line has to teach you. See, women do this thing where they try to train you to become a man that they're not attracted to. Some do it on purpose, some don't realize they do it. But you ever notice that if you listen to what a woman is telling you, they begin to lose respect for you, they begin to lose sexual attraction for you, they start disrespecting you more and more and more, to the point where it seems, well, I don't let it get to that point in the first place, but when you observe other men that listen to women, you notice that the disrespect increases and the sexual attraction decreases. And women have a lot of different reasons why they do this, but essentially women know that a man that is listening to what a woman tells them is a man that doesn't get many women. And most women won't admit this out loud, but women are always watching to see if other females like you. Nothing will dry a woman's vagina up quicker than her finding out no other woman wants to fuck you. I know it sounds fucked up, it sounds ridiculous, but you have to understand the role of females in society, okay? Women are the gatekeepers. You have to conquer them before you can get to the next level. So boom. The few men that are strong enough to conquer their mothers, they now have another obstacle they have to conquer, their first and second loves. The woman that gets their insides all butterfly-like, right? You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. And these women will also try to influence you with their ideologies, right? And you got to conquer them. And it honestly should be easier, because you just conquered the woman that you came out of. You literally just conquered the ultimate beast. You exited the belly of the beast. You're now out into the real world. You're now free. You're free from your mother's prison, right? So conquering your girlfriend or your first or second crush, that should be easy. But a lot of men fail here. When they meet the girlfriend, like I gave with the husband example, when they meet the girlfriend or their baby mother or their wife, you know, they'll be a free man doing whatever the fuck they want. They'll be fucking their girl 5 times a day, because when they're in that ultimate free state, that's when the woman's vagina is the most watery and moist and she's turned on, boy. She can't wait to have your children. Then what happens? You get weak for her and you start listening to what the fuck she tells you. She starts training you to be a husband, something unnatural that she is not attracted to. So suddenly she goes from wanting to have as many of your kids as possible to, honey, I think I'm going to get my tubes tied. Shout out to the homeboy I just made a video with, man. He was explaining that that's what happened to his father. His father went from, you know, being that man that, you know, his mom was sexually attracted to becoming a husband. She got his dad to believe in God, to follow religion, to be a tamed, docile version of what he used to be. After you conquer the second gatekeeper, now from here, life gets easier, right? Because it's like, damn, you conquered the beast you were born from. You conquered your first and second crushes, your first and second loves. You're now a free man. So for the next couple of years or next couple of decades, the world is your oyster, right? You're now living life naturally. You're now following universal law. You're now, life is just rewarding you. And I have to make this video because some of the people that I'm close to, they haven't even conquered the second gatekeeper. You know what I'm saying? They're still going for women that they know will destroy them. They're still going for females that they know can't be helped. They don't want to up their standards because they feel like they can control these weak little women and mold them into something that they want them to be. Well, I hate to tell you guys, man, you can't take weak energy and make it strong. You have to take strong energy and make it even stronger. I know, man, those of y'all with anti-personality disorders like narcissism, psychopathy, and sociopathy, y'all don't want to find a female, a unicorn that has strong energy that will be more resistant to be in control. But if you want to teach your children freedom, if you want to teach your daughter freedom, then you're going to have to reproduce with a female that understands freedom, with a female that understands natural law, with a female that understands universal law and that all of your actions have consequences. If you reproduce with a single mother that follows fairy tales, then she's going to take your children, she's going to try to take your children to fairy tale land. You guys know what I'm talking about, man. I got a sadistic sense of humor, man. The eternal lake of fire and lava, as the Christians would say. But yeah, man. So congratulations. You've done what less than 0.01% of men on planet Earth have done. You conquered the belly of the beast you were born from. You conquered your first and second crushes. Now, you finally found a unicorn. And I'm assuming you can conquer the unicorn too, because if you already conquered your own mother and the woman that first made your heart feel like this, if you could conquer those two, then I'm confident by this point you'll have no problem conquering the unicorn. So you conquer the unicorn, the third gatekeeper, and you reproduce a nice, beautiful daughter. And you're just like, damn. This little girl looks just like me. Well, assuming you got a paternity test and you verified that the child is yours. I'm assuming if you're on my channel and you're watching my videos, I'm assuming you have a triple-digit IQ, and I'm assuming you were intelligent enough to test that the child was yours. So you conquered the unicorn. You verified that this nice, beautiful little girl is your daughter, your flesh and blood, man. She has your eyes, she has your nose, she even has your energy somewhat. She is still an individual and she will develop into her own energy as she gets older. But you're just like, damn, my beautiful speck of joy, right? And this... This is what gets the men who have came this far. This is what gets them in the end, their own fucking daughters. See, what is a common thing that you notice with daughters, right? And really, this is with women and society as a whole. In modern society, it is becoming rare that you see a father involved with their daughters' lives, because the modern cattle farm has removed the father from the equation, because it takes a father who has conquered the mother, who has conquered the wife, who has conquered the baby mother, who has conquered the mother, who has conquered the sister, the aunts, right? The unicorns. It takes that man. You see, humanity is most efficient when it's operating in unison. That's why it's called a universe, because we're all singing the same verse. Everything in the universe works perfectly when it's in harmony with each other. The man is supposed to balance out the woman, and the woman is supposed to balance out the man. The problem becomes when there's too much disruption on one side of the scale. A lot of men make the mistake of they worship the woman. They do whatever the woman tells them to do. They lie because they think this is what they have to do to get what's in between her legs. And you don't got to do that, especially not in 2024, man. In 2024, women are giving it up so fucking easy, man. I vaguely remember when I was 13, 14 years old, and you had to meet the girl's father, and the father had to like you, and you had to do all this shit just to get the second base with your girlfriend. Because if you wanted to go over your girlfriend's house and go to Powtown on your girlfriend, well, you had to meet the father first, right? And you had to act like you planned on being with this girl for a long day. I don't do that anymore, man. I'm honest with chicks, you know. As an adult, I'm honest with chicks, man. If I don't see a future with you, I just tell you that, right? But I do remember back in the day, you had to play parent politics, right? So you want to dig your girlfriend's guts out, you had to make sure the father likes you, right? You ain't got to do any of that anymore, man. Like, women give it up so fucking easily now. I don't even understand how guys struggle with women. But I know how guys struggle with women because they do what the fuck I just said. They worship the woman. They worship their mothers. They worship their daughters. They worship their girlfriends. They don't know how to have a spine. They don't know how to have a backbone. So the balance is lost. See, there's an ongoing debate on what's more important, logic or emotions. Men say logic, women say emotions. The truth of the matter is you need both. You need a balance of both. You know, the original human, the hermaphrodite, was the natural balance of both. It was a male and female, you know, in one body. Now, there's still hermaphrodites that exist to this day. They're extremely rare. I was actually going to cover a video because a hermaphrodite adult was caught trying to meet up with a 13-year-old girl. And I thought about covering that video because it would have killed two birds with one stone. It would have let me make fun of the Toontown fuckers who always accuse me of that shit. And it would also prove that hermaphrodites still exist. But at this point, man, bullying the Toontown guys, that's like a low-hanging fruit, man. You don't, I mean, that community is so easy to bully and make fun of. Like, it's just a low-hanging fruit at this point. So I declined to make the video because, you know, I've done enough bullying to the Toontown community ever since I knocked out Mr. Freeze. They haven't came back, man. I crushed them, right? So I went on a bit of a tangent there, but let's get back to the point. So your daughter is born, and this is the hardest gatekeeper for men to conquer because it came from you. It came from you. Your flesh, your sperm, your father, you. So you see your precious little child and your precious little beautiful daughter. She's like, Daddy, I want a unicorn. I want a pony. I want the impossible. Can you give me the impossible? So you bend over backwards. You bend over like a nice little donkey. You let your daughter strap a dildo on and fuck you in the ass because that's your daughter, right? You got to do whatever your daughter says. You got to spoil your daughter because that's your pride and joy. You got to worship your daughter because she came from you. You can't tell your little daughter no. You got to give her the world. You got to give her the world. Then you got to give her another world. Then you got to give her Mars, Jupiter, Venus, Neptune, Pluto. Pluto ain't even a planet anymore, but you got to give her that too, right? No. For those of you that are already fathers, which if you're already a father, I don't know why you're watching my videos because you've probably already done something that has sealed your fate. But this is what I'm trying to say, man. If you don't want your daughter, if you don't want your children in general to have If you don't want your children to be alone in this world, then you have to do your job as a parent. You have to be that. Until your child is old enough to know what free will is, from the ages of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, you have to teach them at a very young age that all of their actions have consequences, and that anything you want in life, you got to work for. You can be a slave to your daughter, okay? You can do whatever the fuck she tells you. You can spoil her if you want, but understand the consequences of those actions. When you teach your daughter that making slaves out of other human beings is an effective way to get what you want, then you essentially seal her fate. And if she's not strong enough to find the truth on her own, which most women aren't, if she can't find the truth on her own, and if she can't conquer all of the spoiled attention that society is going to give her, which most women can't, then her fate is sealed, and it would be your own fault. See, women don't have an incentive to change what they are because most of society worships them. That's why it's your job as a man, whatever woman you choose to reproduce with, you have to tell that woman the truth. You have to help her obtain that balance. You have to help her conquer her nature. And if you two reproduce and you have a daughter, you then have to do the same thing for your daughter. You then have to teach your daughter the truth. Natural law, universal law. That all of your actions have consequences. And I know, man, I get it, right? When I was living with my mom, I used to spoil Shadow, man. I used to rub the belly of the little fat cat, but I still had balance, though. I didn't let the cat do whatever the fuck she wanted. My mom did, but I didn't, and that's why the cat favored me. It's the same thing for when you have a daughter, for when you have children in general. But for whatever reason, men, they tend to spoil their daughters. Their daughter is usually the final gatekeeper, but you got to conquer that gate too. And once you conquered all of the gates, once you've conquered all the obstacles in your path, because make no mistake, if your daughter ever sees herself as above you, she'll also try to teach you some of the shit that she's learning at school or church or whatever. She'll also turn you into a man that she cannot respect as a father. But if you've conquered all the gates, if you've conquered all the gatekeepers, if you conquered your mother, if you conquered your first love, your second love, your unicorn, and your daughter, the sky is the limit. You now have a family that gets it. And you now become part of, I estimate there's probably less than 1,000 families in the world that truly get it. But if you conquer all the obstacles, then congratulations. You now have a family that gets it, and your children won't have to be in this world alone, because now they do have a father they can go to for guidance if need be. I'm not telling anybody to go to man for knowledge, but it's a lot more enjoyable when you have a conglomerate of people you can interact with that are relative to your level instead of having to do this path alone. Now, obviously, you can do that with friends and your girlfriend, but my ultimate goal is to have that with my future family. Speaking it into the universe with this video. And yeah, man, if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, you're going to see this video as misogynistic. And to the people that are going to see this video as misogynistic, I would advise going straight to the source, getting your dick wet, seeing how women actually are, and then understanding why you have to conquer them. They are the gatekeepers. You know what I'm saying? There's many things in society that's put in place to block you from seeing the truth, man. And ironically enough, ever since time immemorial, the most effective tool to keep men away from the truth is to just introduce them to a woman. If you get it, man. My inner voice is telling me that I've said enough. Any disagreements, leave in the comments, and I shall catch you guys in the next video. Conquer your daughters, conquer your mothers, conquer your girlfriends, conquer your wives, conquer your concubines. Peace.